Welcome back to season 4. Hello, welcome back to Colorful Voices of Sisterhood. I am Raquel Painter, one of the co-hosts. With me, we have Fatia, Agnes, and Diana, and you'll see us here on the set. And how you guys been? Good.
Busy.
Well,
busy.
Too busy.
Yeah. The word of every day. busy.
Yeah. Well, just think of all the moms that got those kids going back to school right now. When you think of all the changes that they have to go through for that. You know, the kids want to have the latest clothes and the shoes and, you know, have all the school supplies. It's costly.
It's very costly.
It is costly to send kids to school these days.
Entering a whole new season.
Yeah.
There's a lot of back to school drives though that's going on. That's
You guys
going to be able
even
to help a lot
United Way
of the
on
parents.
the 16th,
Yes,
Stuff
United
does.
Way.
United
Stuff
Way,
the best.
and churches.
Yeah, churches are doing
it.
that.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I've been telling
It's so-
people, my community, on the 16th, we're gonna go to Road.
Yeah, Walmart on
Yes,
Yeah.
from 10 to
6.
6. Yeah, you see?
Look at Fatia.
And bring your
You got it all down.
Yes, I say
They can take pictures.
I'm gonna be there too.
Yeah.
Raquel should gonna say, Fatia, that's not for you.
You know, it is just so amazing that communities are just coming together, helping one another for the kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're helping the parents as well.
So one thing different from United Way's of Onslow County Stop the Bus program is our supplies go directly to the school social workers.
Yes.
Because even though there's a lot of backpack giveaways going on, sometimes the children who do need it never make it there.
Yes.
Whether it's transportation issues or the parents are working, unable to take them. So when the teachers notice children in class without the supplies they need, it's like Christmas morning the next day. They'll show up and they have their supplies right there on their desk.
And I'd like to
That is
good.
personally thank United Way because sometimes they have so much leftovers and they give it to me because I have a foundation in the Philippines and I send it over there.
Oh, very nice.
Kids are just glow
Yeah,
with
yeah.
smiling faces.
Is that like an orphanage over there? Agnes, or
Elementary
is it-
school as well, just like here.
Oh,
But they
okay.
don't have things. They just have a plastic bag. You know, the Ziploc, they'll put their pens and paper in there. They don't have any backpack. So thank you, United Way, for sharing the blessings as
Oh,
well.
yeah, most definitely. Because it's important that children have the tools they need to learn. You know, a lot of times we don't think of it that way, but, you know, electrician does not go on a job site without the tools they need to do the work. And children need those items. And a lot of times, you know, if you got 4 kids, for example, having to purchase all that stuff at one time is costly for a family that's barely making it every payday.
Confidence as well. Giving them the confidence that they need to show up and be prepared.
Oh, yeah.
Also extra, like if you want to take it to school, like I do every year, like when I buy for Amir, I buy extra, I give it to the teacher.
Oh, yeah.
They give the same thing they do for Amir. If something is missing, they give it to Amir. Like the teacher, we have it. We can, you know, that's nice. If you have any extra you want to donate to school, that would be great. It helps a lot.
Help the
And
teachers.
volunteer your
Teachers,
time.
yes.
Because, you know, going back to school, now bullying starts. You know, sometimes I like school to happen. 'Cause sometimes the kids only get a chance to eat when school is in.
Yeah.
So you also have bullying. So if you have extra time, go and volunteer at the schools. I think adult prison makes a difference.
Oh, I agree.
You know,
I think it
in
really
schools.
lets the children see that their parents are invested too. in
Take
their
lunch.
education.
Sometimes I go take lunch with
Oh,
Amir.
you do that a lot.
I did with Yasmin. I did with Hamza when it was high school. I just love being in the cafeteria. Just I cry, I tear. Like they just innocent. They share. You know,
they're
can I
great.
have that? Can I have that? It just it melts my heart because I didn't have that.
Right.
Growing up, I didn't have that. Now, you know, when I go to school, I'm like, they're supposed to be in here, learn, and be kids.
But they are learning when they're at the table. They're sharing. They're talking. I mean, yeah.
Then they tell me like recess, I go out with them. Sometimes I go with my high heel. I have to take my high heel and run. No, for real. I just run with them. Play soccer with them. It's just
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
Put your right down and volunteer at the schools.
Mhm.
Yeah. It
I
was
think
nothing.
it cuts down on crime as well. When you're there, you know, it helps out the teachers and everybody.
Yeah.
It does.
Mhm.
When I do that, the teacher, they just sit there. I'm just the one running with every class.
Yeah, it gives them a break. But
Mhm.
I mean, because I give it to the teachers. I couldn't imagine 30 kids at one time and you're trying to
can
get them
do it.
all to
They
do
must
the
have
same.
a lot
I
of
can do it.
patience.
I can do it.
You gotta have patience.
Patience,
is-
discipline, tolerance, all that. Some children just hit you from the back without even knowing, you know.
Oh, yeah.
No, really, they do.
We know there's some kids out there.
No, they do. When I used to work
And you know if it's your kids.
Train them.
I'm telling you, daycare, when I used to work daycare, preschool, some teachers, they used to faint. No, for real, caregiver, they used to faint. Ambulance, we have ambulance a week, 3 times a week.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, my.
Yeah, they have a special class.
Uh-huh.
The children act like that. They have their own space that they sit.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to have
Well, if they're
patience.
disturbing the other kids,
Yeah.
they would have to separate them because
Mhm.
now you're affecting everybody else's learning.
Yeah.
So I definitely see that.
You have to have patience, loving, all that to
Mhm.
work with children. Not
Mhm.
everybody, you know. You have to be a special. I'm not saying some people work to make money, but it requires a lot of you to give to those children
Mhm.
because some children have their own issues.
Yeah.
You know?
Mhm,
So
mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
And a lot of times teachers come out of pocket too,
Yes.
Mhm.
especially if there's certain activities that need to be done and they don't have the resources there. They
Mhm.
come out of pocket for
A
that.
lot of times, especially in my country, I'm sure in your country
Mhm.
too, Fatia, because a lot of teachers, they usually don't eat sometimes because they have to share their food to
Oh,
the children
yeah.
that don't have any food.
I'm glad you say that.
I'm glad you mentioned that too.
Yeah.
I remember one of our Children Healthy Eating on the Weekends program recipients. They get their bag of food for the weekends and we put some snacks in there for them. Well, she would save her snacks for snack time at
Mhm.
school because she was getting bullied because she didn't have a snack.
Mm.
So a lot of times, I mean, it's a great idea that, we got snack time at class, but not all kids can afford
Right.
snack.
Mhm,
No,
mhm.
back home.
So that falls on the teachers a lot
Yes.
of times.
In Ethiopia, we have 2 shifts at school, morning and afternoon.
Mhm.
So we get released like on 11:30 before 12 o'clock. Some of them, they
Mhm.
don't have food to eat. So what they do, they snatch from other children. I was one of them.
There's the snow.
Fatia.
There's the truth again.
Okay. See, that's why that's why that monkey.
Yeah,
That's
monkey.
why that monkey took that
Listen,
food.
when you
Yeah,
are
monkey-
the survivor,
monkey
you
gave her
fight
payback.
everybody. You eat it, they just.
But what's funny also is, there's a lot of kids also that, yeah, we need to go back to school, But there's a lot that I
Here
know.
they give you.
There's a lot of teenagers also that I know that they cannot wait to go back to school
Mhm.
because I
Because
said,
of the
why? Because we don't want house chores. We don't want to. They rather want to go back to school. So that's good.
Yeah, socialize. Yeah.
College friends.
But we'll go ahead and get on our discussion for today, which is inspiring life stories. Our special guest today is Jen Edwards, and we met by chance on a project that United Way is working on, the Welcome Home initiative, where we're working on getting an abandoned hotel and transforming it into transitional housing for our homeless veterans, our personnel returning from incarceration, and our youth aging out of foster care. And Jen was very interested in this. We had a discussion, and I'm telling you, she inspired me. She is a recovering alcoholic and addiction. She was homeless. She lost her children. But, she found God.
Amen.
She found God, and her life has changed. She got her children back in her life. She is, those of you that are battling addiction and alcoholism know that's an everyday fight. So she's fighting every day for that. But she also graduated from community college. She's working on her bachelor's degree, and she's visiting women in similar situations that are in our local jails. I mean, so to me, what an amazing guest to have on this topic for today. Jen, welcome.
Thank you, ladies.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. It is an honor to be here. You want me? Where do I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
So my name is Jennifer. I go by Jen. June 18th, I celebrated for the first time in my early teenage years, 7 years free from alcoholism and addiction. So that has been, my life is completely different. There's nothing about me that is the same. I grew up in alcoholism and addiction. I grew up in California. We had, I have an older brother and a younger sister. I grew up with my mother and her boyfriend. There was a lot of using and
So
a lot of
are
alcoholism and addiction.
Siblings also battling
My sister,
addiction
my sister is currently, she's in California. She's battling with addiction, and my brother, he drinks.
Yeah.
My mother is in addiction. My father passed from addiction. There was a lot of addiction and alcoholism. It was pretty much what I knew. There was a lot of things that happened at a very young age. It was normal for me, and I didn't really know much different. I learned that in sobriety, just like in alcoholism, I tend to do things 10 times worse and 10 times harder, heavier. Just like in recovery, I programmed and I did my recovery 10 times hard and 10 times heavier. It's just
how you're wired.
Yeah, just how I'm wired. It's bad and it's good. So some things happen. I watched my father overdose at the age of 13. I remember being grounded for smoking marijuana, and he was going to take me to an AA meeting, and it's the first time I ever heard of AA, and he said, let me use the restroom first, and he was in the bathroom for such a long time, and I was laying there with my little sister, and we were going to pretend we were asleep, and he was taking so long, and he came out, and he sat at the end of the bed, and he overdosed right there, and
oh my.
I remember going and getting my grandma. I was living with him for a while because my mom and her boyfriend, there was always a lot of fighting and just different things going on there. But I ran in and got my grandma, and I was on the phone with the ambulance, and the ambulance were like, whatever you do, don't touch him. And my grandma's dragging his stiff body from room to room and smacking him, trying to. So I handed her the phone as I'm holding. They gave me direction to hold his neck up and so that he can get oxygen. And I just remember holding his head up, and his face was purple, and I just see this life. The oxygen starts coming back to him, and ambulance came, and they shot him in the heart with whatever that is that wakes him up, and he woke up, and then they had me go in the bathroom where I found his needle and his spoon and his heroin and stuff, and is all I remember thinking. It was so fast, but I just remember thinking, I'm never going to stick a needle in my arm. And that was that.
And
there was never no.
I think that's one thing we as adults, no child wants to say, I'm gonna grow up and be a drug addict, or I'm gonna grow up and be a thief, or I'm gonna grow up, that's not a child's dream at that point,
I just knew after seeing that and putting it with that, the first time I'd ever experienced that was never going to be in my life.
Before that happened, Jen, did you know he was an addict?
I always remember talking to him on the phone, and I can always, and to this day with my sister and other people, I can tell in their voice, even over the phone, when somebody's under the influence of opiates or heroin or something. And I always remember talking to him on the phone, and I could tell it in his voice that he was high. And then going and seeing him, he was nodding off a lot, and I knew that's what he reminded me of. Just like my mom, she would go through days of like sleeping and being awake, and like I could tell the difference in attitudes.
Does it also change the color of their eyes? Sometimes it's red, right? When they're high, their eyes are
their
red.
pupils are dilated, but it was a lot of not just nodding off, cigarettes in their hands, nodding off and stuff. But I never went through any emotions with that. It all happened so fast. I went and I ended up moving back with my mom, and that was it. It was just my mom. Her and her boyfriend had a very toxic relationship. It was a lot of fighting, a lot of just chaos, and he was an addict as well. So I went to the hospital. I grew up feeling like I was misplaced so much, just uncomfortable in my own skin. Like I didn't belong here. I didn't know why I was here or why you were here. I just felt so misplaced. And I spent some time in the hospital not wanting to live at about 12 and 13.
Oh my. Yeah.
When I got out of there, my mom's boyfriend had left, wrote her a letter and left her. And I think my mom had a bit of freedom from that.
Mhm.
She ended up, she'd go to the bars and stuff, and it was just more chaos, right? More chaos, more relationships, coming home completely intoxicated, and just, there was a lot of just chaos, a lot of unbalanced emotions. And that's, in my alcoholism and addiction, that's exactly how I was, but 10 times worse. It was high highs, low lows. I was always told that I had depression and anxiety, that it ran in my family, and all of these things. And I went through my life like that, under the influence from about 12 or 13. After my father overdosed and I went to the hospital and all of that, I dropped out of high school and I just kind of left. I met somebody who I ended up marrying at 15, and I felt like that was my ticket out. And not realizing
You're just
that
trying to find that that
my
Princess
way out.
Riding armor to sweep you away.
Yeah, but I'm not realizing that I went after the same taste of like my mom's boyfriend and what I was with. So he was an addiction and alcoholism, and it just went downhill from there. It spiraled. We lived together in a trailer park, and at the age of 16, and I drove down this road last time I was in California, and it just looks like a place where a bomb hit. I'm like, I just can't believe that I was 15 and 16 living in this place. My father.
How old was he then?
He was 21.
He was 21.
And how I ended up marrying him is we were living together, and my aunts, my father's sister, came over and shot him in my trailer. Right while we were sitting next to him, and I shot him with a gun. I'm not, and I don't know. I don't really know what the story is behind that, and I wish I knew. I don't know what they were fighting over, but he was staying at my house, and he was trying to get off of heroin. And she came over and she asked for Bill Edwards, and I thought that was weird. I'm like, you mean my dad? You mean your brother? And she came in and she shot him with her boyfriend at the time was a cop. She shot him with his gun, went and turned herself into a lawyer, and district attorney started getting involved, and then they started questioning, why is this 15-year-old girl or 16-year-old girl living with this 21-year-old man, you know? And as in my state of mind, my next best thing was, we have to get married.
Yeah.
So my dad, he survived that. The bullet lodged a bit above his chest and right next to his heart. They left it there, and went through his hand and into his chest. And it was like I was completely detached from that moment.
Wow.
Just watching from the outside in, and
I'm just thinking of all the traumatic
all of these
events.
A lot of unresolved issues, right? A lot of unresolved things happening, and I just so my dad survived for that, and then we went to Las Vegas, and he signed me off to get married.
Wow.
Yeah.
Age 16?
At 16.
That's 16.
We got married, and at 18, I was trying to get my GED, and the teacher told me about the California Conservation Corps, and I thought that sounded amazing. I left that man when I was 18, and I went to the California Conservation Corps, and that was the best experience ever.
So what is that?
I absolutely loved it. You go out in the mountains and you do restoration project. We planted so many trees. We did salmon restoration, where we took salmon up through all of these like bamboo fields and released them at the top so they could do work in the creeks at the bottom. I mean, it was just paradise.
Yeah.
And it's for kids ages 16 to 23. And you go and you work and you live in like dorms.
Yeah.
And you work on your GED or your driver's license or your school or whatever you want to do. It was the best experience. I absolutely loved it. I was kicked out of there for drinking, unfortunately.
That's just how we roll. What it is. How we roll. What it is. Yeah.
I really was
So did you drink
upset.
before you went to that, or was this something you picked up there?
No, it was before. Shortly after I saw, about 13, I started drinking and using. So I went there when I was 18 and I was kicked out for drinking, and it just continues to go, I've always carried alcohol with me. Alcohol to me has been my everything. It's been my solution to everything. I've celebrated with it. I've mourned with it. I've used it to get through hard times, feeling situations of uncomfortable. I mean, just alcohol was everything to me. I didn't have a relationship with God. We never, I didn't know about this amazing, powerful God, that could completely take everything from me and give me all of the gifts of peace and joy and all of these things.
And when did you find God?
At the age of 37.
37.
So so from 18 to 37, it was just toxic relationships. All my relationships were involved alcohol and addiction we had in common. I have 2 beautiful children. I had lost my kids. I had spiraled downhill. I was in relationships and where I stabbed myself in the arm, and I would go to the hospital. I went to the hospital to get stitches, and there was many times where God tried. I see God's presence in my life.
So is that the time,
like God is always with me, but I just didn't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
So is that the time when you were 37 that you finally thought, okay, this is it. I need to get back up.
This is it. I had lost my kids. I was homeless. I had been in just relationships, just toxic relationships. My drinking had put me in a spiritual hell. I had went to jail. I went to jail for public intoxication, and I had my kids with me. They took my kids. I was in there for 30 days, and I never went to jail a lot. I was never really somebody that broke the law. I just had a bad drinking problem. They held me in there for 30 days, and in that 30 days, that's the longest they detoxed me. And I felt like I was on top of the world. I'd been sober for 30 days. I got out. I had all these plans. Everything was good. And I got out, and I didn't even realize about alcoholism at that point. I hadn't been introduced. I didn't know what controlled drinking was or anything. The second I got out, I got an Uber and I stopped by the liquor store and got a pint of vodka. And I drank it on my way to my sister's. And that was the worst mistake ever. It opened up a hell in my mind. There is hell on earth. It was a spiritual hell. I drank a huge hole inside of me. I later learned through a program that it's referred to as a God-sized hole. I cried out and I asked for help on June 17th of 2018. And I hear about all my story a lot in the Bible, about crying out and asking for help. Psalm 34:17 and Psalm 50:15 highlight God's willingness to respond to those who seek him in trouble. And I prayed to God to help me, to take this from me. My drinking was an obsession and I could not stop. I could not stop. I was obsessed with it. I could not stop. After crying out, and I later read these verses, and it reminds me of that night. I had a spiritual awakening, and I went to the hospital, and I got out a couple days later, and my behavioral health counselor said, whatever happened to you the other night, I'm not quite sure, but it has funded you to go into a woman's home. And it's
what made you to get to say, you know what, is enough is enough. They say that you have to get to bottom, to say, you know what, I'm done. I need help. What did you to that point? What was like for you to say, I have to turn my life around?
My kids were taken. From me. Restraining orders were in effect. My kids were taken and they were given to my family, and I just couldn't. I couldn't believe that, and I couldn't stand it. My heart was broken. My heart was so broken. And like I said, there was a spiritual hell. I know that I was detoxing and withdrawing. I was in so much fear. I was running from things that probably weren't even there. I was in a spiritual hell, and I just begged for help. I wanted to die. But I could not leave my kids. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. I knew I couldn't continue drinking, and I did not know what sobriety would look like. I didn't know how to get there.
And Jen, I think I would say that's understandable, but any kinds of addiction, they cannot go straight. They do this
Oh yeah,
until
very high highs
when
and
it's
low
enough
lows.
is enough.
Yeah.
They say alcohol is worse than the drugs, right? They say alcohol is worse than the drugs because they say to even overcome alcohol has more, like it requires more of you.
I think addiction altogether, whether it's persons addicted to gambling or alcohol, I think it's the addiction for the person.
Yeah, no,
So
they
they
say
can
like
overcome.
even alcohol is more
Medically, detoxing is very different.
Oh, okay.
They say
Detoxing.
alcohol is really like you have to have a strong will to say I'm done alcohol. Like people thinking go back because they smell and
Well, it's everywhere.
So
I don't, and I mean, I don't remember really my first several days sober. I remember my last days drinking, and that's a gift. That is a gift. Because I will tell you that alcohol also never leaves my mind. It is there. It is there with me. On bad days, I mean, it's always going through, and I'm very blessed that I had many strong women in recovery in my life. A sponsor that told me, Jen, alcohol's in the background doing push-ups, waiting for you.
Did you ever thought that, okay, stay away from me. I am more stronger than you are.
Yeah. I mean, there's days
Sometimes
it's always,
you have to talk to yourself.
Yeah.
you have
Yeah,
days
to
where you're
talk to
like,
yourself, really.
a drink sounds really good. But then, like I said, I remember my last few days drinking, and that is a gift that I've been given. I don't remember my first few days sober, but my last days drinking, yes.
Yeah, you have to be your own cheerleader.
Yeah. The woman, the house mom of the woman's home, she, like I said, I don't remember that. She said I was very shaky, though, what we're talking about, the coming off of alcohol and the medical detoxing, that it can be very dangerous. But yeah, it's like I was on autopilot.
Yeah.
And I know that God does for us what we cannot do for ourselves.
So what is your what are you most proud of in your journey so far?
My sobriety, my relationship with God, my kids. God has shared.
Kids now, Jen.
They're now 15 and 20.
Oh, okay.
I've had so many God moments, and I'll tell you, when I was in this women's home, I would go and I would see my daughter, and there are so many days where I was thinking, what am I doing? Like, I have bad credit. I don't have a job. I don't even know where do I start. This mountain is like right here, right? And how am I going to get over it? My family support, my kids were where they were at. It was like, they were in just everything. It just seemed like so much. I had to get a place. I have to have, a job. I have to have a deposit. I have to have all of these things. I have to have good credit. Who is going to have to do a credit check? I mean, I have to make enough money to get a place, and it's just, there was so much. And I've had so many days to where I just felt like, what am I even doing? Who am I fooling? I cannot do this. And I went to go.
Doubted yourself.
I doubted myself many times. And every time I doubted myself, God showed up. And I was
now you see
God showed up. And I was just forming and building this relationship with this strong, loving universe, that I've never known before. But I was questioning, like, what am I even doing? And I go and I walk. My mom's is around the corner from the women's home. So I walk over there to see my kids. And my daughter, I think she was 5 or 6 at the time. And I know that they're not talking about God in my mom's house or all of these things. So, but God must have put it on her heart to make this for me. And she comes running down, and she just looks like a glitter ball. Her face is just lit up, and she's like, Mom, I made something for you. And I could just see her swaying this piece of paper in her hand. And I was like, I was just so in awe by like looking at this just glowing ball, and she gives me this. And it doesn't smell, spelled right. And it says faith in Jesus.
Oh my
and I just like looked at her and I thought, thank you, God.
Wow.
Like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it was,
oh my goodness.
God shows up, and when later on, when we go through life and we move here, I learned certain things that were happening and certain things that happened to her. And in all of this chaos in her little bitty
It's
life,
truly the Lord works in a mysterious way.
God had put it on her heart to make this for me, and I just,
Because
it
God
is
knew you
incredible.
needed it.
He knew I needed it, and he knew how to get my attention.
Yeah.
Got my attention. I didn't see this at first, but he got my attention by taking my kids, and he got my attention by every time I sing.
Yeah.
My son, the same thing. Yes. I would go, we were talking about school, like I would have a tough day, and I would always like to go and eat lunch with him at school too, but I would take a break and go and have lunch with her, and she would be standing in line. She's like, there's my mom, there's my mom. And I would just like, this is what I'm doing. I mean, I'd been there so many times, but I was under the influence. And I never saw it. And I'm sure she acted like that every time.
Yeah.
But this is the first time I had actually seen
saw
it.
her.
There were so many things I would like to.
So with your kids, because they were young at the time, what do they say now? Do they remember that time period when you was on an addict and on alcohol, and do they remember that time?
My son was, 20. So he was 13, I believe, whenever I got sober. So he actually he later told me that he took my 1-year coin to his show and tell at school, high school.
Oh my gosh,
and he said he
proud of you.
He couldn't think of anything to share, but he took this coin and he showed it to his teacher, and he said, my mom's sober.
Oh
So,
my God.
I was like, that is just, and that's just another
For him to
God.
understand at that young age the importance of that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Children, they see, they sense, they know.
They know, and they
know. Like it's the same. You experienced that when you're 13, and your dad, you saw all what your mom and your dad they were going through. It's the same things your children see. Like, that's what hurts the most, right? You experience it with your family now. As you have your own children go through that too. Yeah.
But I love it, Jen, because you broke a cycle.
Yes. That's a strong
Yes.
woman.
that is
Broke a cycle with your children.
God is good. It's God's story. It's not. There's so many different, like Corinthians, in 2 Corinthians, it says that we are letters from Christ. We're letters of recommendation of the Holy Spirit written on our hearts, of God's good work in transforming our lives from something that is completely in the dark to something that is completely in the light.
Yeah.
It's just, there's nothing, it's evident, that there's a power greater than us that can help us and get us through anything.
Yes.
All of like the autopilot, and God does for us what we can't do for ourselves, like being dropped off. I went to AA. AA is a huge part of my story. God took the obsession for me to drink and use. I woke up out of that hospital, and I was placed in that women's home, and it was like I was on autopilot. I went into AA where I learned how to live one day at a time without a drink or drugs. So it's like he took it from me, put me where I needed to be, and it was just a tribe full of just loving people. And I sat in the corner, and I sat in the corner, and I always wore a baseball cap. I was so uncomfortable in my own skin. I didn't want anybody to look at me. I always wore a baseball cap, and every single time I sat in a meeting by myself in the corner, I heard a part of my story. And I was like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I slowly, and they just welcome you with love. I ended up going to church, got introduced to church, and became highly involved in that. And I heard the praise and worship songs, and I would just hear parts of my story. And it's just incredible. It's the spiritual journey. It's a wild ride.
Oh, yeah.
It's a wild ride.
And there's so many women that are going through this right now, fighting some type of addiction. What would you recommend?
That's what I was trying to
the
ask.
first step in
Keep going. Keep going. Surround yourself. There are so many women out there from all different walks of life. There's women, there's doctors, there's lawyers, there's teachers, there's that have struggled with alcoholism and addiction. And there's a huge support group out there for women and men. When I was going to court, it was like one repeated after the other, trying to get my kids back, right? It was continued and continued. And I had this woman in my life tell me, do you think God brought you all this way so you can leave your kids behind? And I never thought about it like that. And I was like, no. She's like, well, what are you going to do? And she's like, you're not going to go out and drink, are you? I said, no. She's like, why don't you try praying? And I was like, okay. I never thought about that, right? Because it was never my solution. So I prayed and I swear I went back to court and it was Monday and I felt like Big Bird walking through the courthouse on Monday. I was all by myself. I could not keep the smile off of my face. Everybody was racing to the traffic court and hurrying up to get on time, standing in line, going through the metal detectors. And I was just smiling. I felt so much joy and peace. Like God had this in control. And this is what, you get lessons, right? And you'll get them until you get them. I prayed and I accepted the fact that, my drinking brought me here. That's why I'm here. And that's right.
Prayer, Jen.
Yeah, that's right. And it was just my kid. I ended up, that got continued and I got my kids. They were given back to me at the next court date. So.
Something important you said was, you said so many things, but you say accepting, like when you say, you know what, I cannot do this alone. I'm tired. I want to change. When we say we want to change, that's when the changes start.
That's when the changes start.
That's what you just say. You say that like you made decision to say this is it. When we say it and is enough, I'm gonna make my life different. That's when I believe personally God step in to say, okay, now you're tired and you're sick. I'm here to guide you if that's what you want. If it's not, think about how many people really struggle with this addiction. A lot different, right? But you have to get to the point and say, you know what? I don't want this life anymore. I want to make a difference.
But that's the only person who could do that.
And every time I was faced with something difficult and something that I would normally drink over and I would pray through it. And every time I got through it and it was like, God just shows up. Walking through Home Depot, that was one of my first jobs. I'll share this quickly. I was having the most difficult time. My roommate at that time had relapsed. My dog, I just got back from my mom, had puppies. And I had, there were all of these things happening. And I was like, and I was in a sales position. God put me in a sales position, right? Where I walked through I was in sales for somebody that was a isolated alcoholic. It's pretty incredible in itself. And I was like, God, I just need to see your face today. Show me your face. I was like, I cannot do this. I cannot go to this store, but I have to. And I go into the store and these gentlemen, about 30 minutes go by and these gentlemen said, do you know where the moving boxes are? And I said, yeah. And I just walked with them and we just had a little small talk. And before we separated, they stopped and they looked at me and said, I just got to tell you this one thing. God loves you. And I was like, thank you. And I just started crying. I was like, God just shows up. I was just begging him to show his face to me today because I can't do this. And those men told me that. And I was like, this is just, I am not alone.
Yeah, because what happened is you called him and he came nearer and nearer and nearer to you. You can feel his presence.
Yeah. It is.
I want to ask a quick question. So you're a person that is your support person. Are you a support person to somebody now? Because the scriptures, when you have been strengthened, you go back and strengthen your brother.
That's right.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
To me, you're powerful. The story is your testimony. It's more than a story. It's a testimony of how you overcame. And I believe we all go through stuff for a testimony to actually help someone else. So how do you reach back?
I do sponsor women. I'm still highly involved in the program in AA. Like Raquel mentioned, God opened up the door last year. I would be in there a year in September. God opened up the door for me to go into the women's jail here and bring in a recovery meeting. I've seen some of them women outside of jail. I've seen one at a DMV. I've seen one at an AA meeting. And one in an AA meeting, I was having a bad day that day. And I was like, somebody said, you need to go to a meeting. And I was like, no, I don't want. And I ended up going to the meeting and I see this lady there and she's like, she said something like I saw her at just the right time, right? It was like another God moment, you know. She's like, you always brought so much. I thank you for bringing the meeting to Jill. You helped me out so much, and I was like, just seeing you here has made my day completely better. And it's just a circle. It's a circle.
Yes,
so
which meeting is that? The one by Angela, her name, if I'm not mistaken? I have attended.
So there's some at United Way. I kind of go to all over.
Okay,
Yeah.
I attend one they have every Thursday on when you go to like towards the Newburgh. It's Angela something AA. I go. I go support.
Yeah, because United Way used to hold the morning session, but they got their own place, so now we hold the evening session.
Okay.
But yeah, they're everywhere. They have them, and I always tell the ladies that I work with, I suggest going to all kinds of different meetings, so your support can get bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
It's
and
really
they got
nice.
them
I
online
went
now
there.
too.
Huh?
They have them online now too.
Yeah, yeah. No matter coming from California to here with my 2 kids, loading up and leaving, you know, there was something that brought us here, but it was God just opening up another door for us to move over here. It took me about 3 days, and we came over here, and I ended up buying a house for us with me and my 2 kids. First time homeowner. I ended up going back to community college. I dropped out of high school after I saw my father overdose, and that's when I started going downhill pretty bad. And I went back to community college in 2021. It took me 4 years doing 1 or 2 classes at a time, but I just finished there, and I'm going on to Pembroke to do my bachelor's. I'm super passionate about helping others, community and human services. So that's my long-term goal. Yeah.
You can tell people, I don't look like what I've been through.
Just because you got such a powerful story and you overcame so much. I mean, just in those teenage years, the trauma that you experienced and overcame to become the woman you are today is just amazing.
It is amazing.
So that program still exists? The one you said when you were 18? I heard about
the Conservation Corps? Yes.
It still exists?
Yeah, they have Conservation Corps. That's the California Conservation, but they have Job Corps. My son is actually doing the Job Corps. He's doing a Job Corps program. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my son's friend went to the Job Corps. She did it up in Raleigh. She went to Raleigh for hers.
Yeah.
Okay. They said they help you with college if you want to go to college.
Peace Corps. They have Peace Corps.
Yeah, Peace Corps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of opportunity. My son's doing a welding program in the Job Corps right now.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So that has been a huge for him because he wasn't quite sure what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
There are resources if you want to change your life. If you really like,
There
there
are.
are resources. You have to want it. You have to say, you know what, this is not for me. I tried, it did not work for me, you know. And
The
that's
biggest
what makes you
thing-
who you are today.
The biggest thing was getting alcohol and drugs out of my system.
Yeah.
Tired of boring selfies and plain party pics? It's time to level up your event with LMB Production Studio. From unforgettable 360-degree booth spins to magazine-style photo shoots, we've got everything you need to turn your party into the party. Want to be a cover star? Done. Need a space for your epic ideas? We've got that too. Don't miss out. Call LMB today and make your next event legendary.
To be completely rid, and that was all God's doing.
He's definitely a story.
That was all God's doing.
So when
That
you,
was
when you're cleansing yourself, I know there's a lot of
Detox.
withdrawals and that type of stuff. So was you in a facility to do that, or did you go through that on your own?
I went through that. I was in the hospital for a couple of days.
Okay.
I woke up a couple of days later out of the hospital, and that's whenever I had my behavioral health counselor contact me and said, funding has been activated for me to go into a women's home. But I still, like I said, the house mom said, I was still very shaky and very just.
They say
I know.
withdrawal. They say it's worse than drugs, alcohol.
In jail, I was detox. They helped me medically detox in jail.
Yeah.
And it takes time.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
Such
I
a
know
story.
my dad was an alcoholic. And shame on me, back then I enabled it because I didn't want to see him shaking.
Yeah.
You know, he would shake so much when he's trying to read the paper and he just couldn't. Then back then we could just go down to the local
Anybody
store
could.
and buy him a a 40 or whatever and take it home to him. Now I know that's an enabler, which as an adult, I could see I probably shouldn't have done that. But, you know, when I'm a 12-year-old child,
Right.
I just want my dad to be better.
Yeah.
You know,
I
He
share
doesn't have a Parkinson disease.
again.
I share with the ladies in jail. I share with them. There's a lot of how do you do this, and you go back. You get out of jail and you go back to the same situation, the same cycle. So there has to be, like you talked about the transitional home. There has to be somewhere to go for you to start fresh. But I do tell them the only thing that's in between me and my next drink is God, and that's it. Nobody can take that. And as long as I stay spiritually connected and in prayer and spiritually connected, there's nothing that can stop me from doing anything.
Oh my gosh. Well, that was well said, Jen. Thank you for your
ladies.
inspiring story. And I hope a lot of our viewers are out there listening, and there's resources out there for you. Please reach out and get the help you need.
And thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope you were able to take something valuable from our discussion. Please like and share, and we will see you again in 2 weeks. Our next topic is leadership from within.
Sounds good.
That's
Thank you,
very
ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.